I was listening to Sam Cooke yesterday. I was listening to, remember that recording of Jesus Gave Me Water?
Jesus gave me water. Jesus gave me water. Jesus gave me water. I wanna let it praise His swear.
How are you?
I'm very well, Tom. Thank you for that generous introduction. Man, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. And I know that the introduction is only so nice because you're Canadian, but I let it make me feel good anyway.
That's in our constitution here in Canada. Where are you? What a beautiful room you're in with these books and the piano. Where are you?
I'm in New York. This is my little temporary apartment. I've rented it. You know, we've lived here the time that my family and I have been here working on this show, but this is not our apartment. We don't live this well normally. It's been however many months, 6 months of just like telling the children, don't touch that, don't touch that, don't break that. It's such a nice place.
So I want to talk a little bit about why you're in New York. I want to talk a little bit about Broadway a little bit later on, but I want to start with the new album, When a Crooner Dies. It's a really beautiful album. I want to be cautious about how much I ask about the meaning of the songs behind it. But right off the bat, when I was reading about this, I found something really interesting. I read you say that when you were making this record, and this is to be expected for someone who comes from the performing arts, is that you used to do a lot of takes, vocal takes, hundreds of vocal takes per song, and on this one, that wasn't the case. What's going on?
Really, is that I started, I don't know, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now. I just really started taking better care of myself. At first, it just looked like me getting up a little earlier. I woke up an hour and a half, 2 hours before my kids and my wife to journal and work out and check in with myself. It was this whole process. What I realized sort of 5 or 6 weeks into doing this, I realized, Tom, this is what loving myself looks like. Maybe for the very first time in my life, I'm consciously putting myself on the list, conscientiously taking care of myself. So I started being gentle with myself, and I started having this, trying to find the same grace with myself that I have toward my son, toward my kids, believing that I'm worthy of that kind of gentleness from time to time. And so it's not unrelated to the 150 takes that I used to do. I just used to be so unforgiving of myself and so rigorous and hard on myself in ways that I don't think in the long run were healthy. And so this one, a song like I Surrender, or a song like Take Me As I Am, for instance, I think there's some symbolism in that, that Take Me As I Am vocal, that's the vocal from the writing session. After we wrote that song, I recorded it a few minutes after we wrote it, and that's the one that's on the album. I Surrender is the same way. And so I found surrender. I found a way to take me as I am.
Why were you being so hard on yourself?
I don't know where that came from, and I think it.
Let me say, I suffer from it too, and I'm sort of asking it so for some answers. Like, do you know where that came from?
There was probably, those of us that had maybe childhoods where there were things that were out of our control, that we took real control over the things we could control, and I can control myself, and I can control how perfect this vocal is. And so I'm going to record it 200 times. And before I'll let you say something bad about me, that was the thing, nothing anybody's ever said about me is worse than what I've said about myself.
Yeah.
Nothing nobody's ever hit me with a criticism that's worse than I've said to myself. So anyway, there's been something healing about having kids, and about, I don't know, reaching this season of my life where it really was the only way I was going to make it through I discovered, was to find my way towards something that looked like love. You know what? And you know what the thing is too? I really did. These are elementary lessons. We've been hearing about these things since we were little kids, but there really is no way to find more I, I am able to find more love for my neighbor. I'm able to find more grace for the people that I'm in relationship with because I, I am treating myself better. It's like, there's that thing in the Bible, that scene in the Bible where the Pharisees are questioning Jesus and they're like, which of the laws is the most important? Because they've got all these laws, right? And it's a test. Kind of any answer he says is going to be wrong, because how dare you? How could you boil this down to the most important laws? And Jesus, he does answer them, and he says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, and your mind, and love thy neighbor as you love thyself. I'm paraphrasing Jesus, forgive me. But, so many of us are loving our neighbors as we love ourselves. And we do a poor job of loving ourselves too.
Yeah. The great secret about offering yourself compassion, is that it makes you compassionate towards other people.
Finding my way to grace and forgiveness, for myself. It's like, that now I can really look at my brother Tom like I look at he's just like me.
Yeah.
So of course he made a mistake today. Of course that's okay. I make mistakes. I made one this morning. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just been an outflow of that. I'm learning how to be gentle with myself.
On a musical level, when you come from sort of high level, like Broadway's not traditional folk music. Like I come from traditional folk music where the imperfections are the joy, and in Broadway that is not the case. So just on a musical level, and you come in here, you're only doing one take or two takes. How do you embrace imperfection? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I've long loved folk singers, and my favorite thing is a human voice, is a voice. The thing that touches me most is not the most perfect, pristine voice in the whole world. It's the voice that communicates something. It's the voice that sounds like a fingerprint. And sometimes that voice is weathered. Sometimes that voice is rough. Sometimes that voice is kind of croaking the notes out. It's just speaking the notes out. And like that thing can, oh man, that can make you want to crawl under your seat. You're crying so hard, So I've long loved it in other singers and other people. I've just had to, find a way to allow the light to shine through my cracks as well, because the truth is, it's the only thing that really is worth anything, to show other people. When we allow ourselves to be a mirror in that way, when we allow ourselves to be flawed and beautiful and human in front of our audience,
and flat and sharp and raspy and all that. Yeah.
They're looking at a mirror. They're looking at something that looks like them.
I tell you another way I'm seeing you sort of protect yourself a little bit, if you don't mind me saying. I see you laughing at me, but I see what.
Go ahead.
I do. Another way I think you might be protecting yourself a little bit is I was doing a bit of research into you for this record, and the title "When a Crooner Dies" obviously very evocative, and we are in a time in our society, and I'll take some culpability for something like this, but we're in a time in our society. Actually, that was just me doing negative self-talk there, Leslie. That's all that was. We're in a time of our society where we're expected to share a lot of ourselves, a lot of our own stories, the traumas, the tragedies, the things that we've been through. And I read this quote where someone was asking a little bit about the songs in this record, and you said, "At this point, I'm much more interested in the stories other people are going to write around my songs. I know what my story is, and maybe one day I'll share it." And I was curious about what you meant by that until I started talking to you in this conversation. But it sounds to me like you're protecting yourself a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, you're on the money with that. And it's that thing of, whenever you get some artist telling you, spoon feeding you exactly what it means and what it meant to them, it just shuts down, all of the beautiful ways, the audience, when people are generous enough, when they make time to take in the work, they can illuminate things for the artist that I might not even know were there, might not realize were there. I think art, when it's done at my favorite level, it is created on the conscious and the subconscious level. So there are things that are hidden in the cracks, the nooks and crannies. There are things that maybe I never intended, but somebody else discovers this double entendre, and I'm like, whoa, So and I just think that the more I'm up explaining exactly what every single thing means, it stops somebody else from possibly discovering their own meaning.
If I listen to a song and I know exactly what it's about, biographically for you, I won't then put my own experience into it.
Yeah. I mean, I have so many albums that I love that are deeply personal to me, because I've connected them to a specific time in my life that they, and so the titles of those albums mean something to me, something the artist may have never intended. That song, I might have played that song at my wedding or at my grandmother's funeral, but that the artist is like, oh, that's not what I meant by it. But there's a wonderful thing that happens when the art is given away, and then a new kind of collaboration starts. There's a new dreaming that happens between the artist and the audience.
How is being back on Broadway? I mean, because I guess on a couple of levels it's interesting. You were in Hamilton. You and I talked about this last time, and how hugely important that was for your career.
Yeah.
And now you're back on Broadway with Pearly Victorious. It seems to me like you've learned a lot. It seems to me like you've been through the ringer. Fame is a disorienting thing, and fame for a specific project like Hamilton is a unmooring thing. How's being back on
Yeah.
Broadway?
Oh, it's been the most healing, wonderful, wonderful thing. I'm back. I'm starring in this one. Hamilton was called Hamilton. I didn't play Hamilton. I played Burr, and
It
that
wasn't called
this is
Burr, yeah.
oh, this is Pearly Victorious, and I'm Pearly Victorious in this. This is my first time doing that, and learning these new things, getting to be a part, an integral part of um, the experience you have when you walk inside the Music Box Theater. I'm just so overjoyed, so proud of it, and it's the genius of Mr. Davis too, because this is we deal with challenging emotional material in the play, but it is done so joyfully, Tom. He sat down to write a play about his childhood, and he realized a third of the way in that it was just too painful to ask an audience to sit through. And
Yeah.
so the first act of generosity from Mr. Davis was writing it with this humor, was letting us laugh our way into our healing. And so it's just a magical experience, really.
Why was this the play you wanted to come back with?
Quite frankly, it sounded harder than what I'd just done. I mean, that's what I'm always trying to do is, I'm trying to find something that is more challenging. And that was a hard thing to find. With imagine after Hamilton and Burr, which was bar none, the bar none, the hardest thing that anybody had ever asked me to do. And Pearly Victorious is harder. And as we come to the, we close on February 4th, and I'm starting to think, well, what would be harder than this, and there's when you, because the win is sweet when you achieve, when it happens in the way that you envisioned it and the way that you hoped it might, so that's why the challenges, grow, and the bar gets higher and all that.
Before we let you go, and you've been so generous, and I'm already over the time allotted with you, but I wanted to get a story from you, because last time we talked, it was one night Miami was just about to come out, and then I was there watching the Oscars, and then I saw you. I saw you on the Oscars. It was very exciting. Listen, gratitude is assumed and magic is assumed, but I'll never get to go to the Oscars. Tell me, unless they have Oscars for radio hosts that look like Al Borland, I'm never going to go to the Oscars. When is shout out Richard Karn?
Hey,
when tell me something I don't know about going to the Oscars.
Say something you don't know about going to the Oscars?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what you don't know.
Tell me something. Tell me what it's like. What's it like?
These moments, I don't want to get addicted to achievement, like it's got to be this and then this and this. Like, some of this stuff, you got to let it satisfy. I may never be back at the Oscars, and that's okay. I was there this one time playing Sam Cooke.
Yeah.
Of all, I mean, like, if I never go back again, I have that one. So I'm feeling good, man.
I was listening to Sam Cooke yesterday. I was listening to, remember that recording of Jesus Gave Me Water?
Jesus gave me water. Jesus gave me water. Jesus gave me water. I'm gonna let it praise it, swear. Are you kidding me?
Unbelievable. Soul Stirrers, right? Sam Cooke and the Soul Stirrers.
Yes.
I can tell that you have gone through something. I can tell that you have come out the other side of it. And I get such a great sense of peace off you, and such a great sense of love off you. I'm so happy to talk to you. Thanks so much for making the time.
Thanks, Tom. Till next time.